Battle Gear 2 is a racing game that was developed and published by Taito Corporation for the PlayStation in 2001. And this game is a port of the very popular arcade series that would have been extremely popular in the Japanese region. This game in particular would also be rebranded under the name Tokyo Road Race in Europe and other regions. That utilises the elements of street racing and even toge style racing, where you select a variety of classic and iconic JDM sports cars and coupes. Anything from the likes of the Subaru Impreza, WRX STI, the Mitsubishi Lancer, Evo 3, 4, 5, even 6. The Toyota Corolla AE86, the Celica GT4, the Toyota Supra, the Nissan Skyline, R32, R33 GTR, even the Mazda RX-7, among many other well-named and iconic brands, even with Honda, with the likes of the EK9 Civic, the Honda Integra, Nissan Silvia, even the Honda NSX. It has a multitude of different and awesome cars in the game. There is a noticeable difference compared to this version and even Tokyo Road Race, because years ago when I had the PlayStation 2, I had bought the Tokyo Road Race version. I remember seeing it in a game store and I just really liked the look of the game. And the fact is that it has an awesome selection of cars, so I was instantly drawn to it. And I just like the quirky arcade style nature of the graphics. Again, this is an arcade game, so it definitely has some really nice visuals, and considering it to be an early game that would have been seen on the PS2, graphically it was actually very good. But there is a noticeable difference between this game and the Tokyo Road Race version, as there is a certain change in the variety of tracks that you gain access to. With each version of the game, yes, you have a vast array of cars to choose from, but you only have access to 4 particular tracks. And in the Battle Gear version, you have more diverse tracks that have more intricate turns, and they're a little bit more difficult to get used to. But in the Tokyo Road Race version, one of the tracks was replaced with an oval race track that would have been popular in the likes of Gran Turismo, or that you would also see more notably in the likes of the NASCAR racing games. So that was the main difference between both of the games in general, but they still played and looked the same. They still act and handle the same, and it is a really good game for what it is on offer, even though it wouldn't be considered as good compared to many other racers seen on the PS2, especially if you compare it to the likes of Gran Turismo and the like, and even the later entry in the series, Battle Gear 3. I have done a previous video on that game on the channel, so I'll make sure to drop a link to that video in the description. And for me personally, that is without a doubt one of the best racing games I've ever played on the PS2. It's just, not only does it have great handling physics, it's also one of the most beautiful looking games I've ever seen on the PS2, and it's right up there with Gran Turismo in terms of its visual appeal. It really looks that good, and it just plays even better, and it is a massive step up from this version of the game. It doesn't take away from how this game looks or how it plays, but there's just a lot more diversity and a lot more variety in its later sequel than there is in this game, but it's still worth trying out. Whichever version of the game you do try, I highly recommend you do try them out. Now, in saying that, the third version of the game was definitely a lot more refined. It was easier to pick up and play. It had better handling physics and characteristics, but it genuinely was easier to try and win races, and a lot of it was mainly down to skill. Whereas with this game, it is tough because the AI is a lot more difficult, and the fact is the tracks in this game are a lot narrower and shorter, because again, you spend most of your time racing on likes of really narrow mountain style roads, and the collision detection in this game wouldn't be as good compared to its later sequel, because you will hit corners and barriers a lot. And the problem is, it kind of puts you in mind of the older Ridge Racer games, that when you do clip something when you're racing, it will slow you down dramatically to a point that if someone overtakes you, especially if they're further up the pack, like say closer to first place, there's a very good chance that once they get past you, it's pretty much race over. So you'll be playing catch up the whole time. If anything, once you get really good at the game, you can really push the cars to their limits. That's the one thing I really do like about this game, and once you get used to the handling dynamics and the physics, you can really get the most out of it, and you really feel like a professional racer when you get the hang of it. But the thing is, you will keep racing to a point, and you will nearly always get close to whoever's in first place, but you'll always be just that little bit behind. By the time you reach the finish line, they'll always be just maybe a second or two ahead of you. You can always nearly see them in the distance. Now, this is all dependent on how well you race. The better you race, the better the chance, but even at that, you're still always going to be struggling. By the time you do get even near first place, in some cases you won't, it'll always be near, like say, the last corner or two at the end of the race, and it really just depends on your driving. If you have a flawless run, which is very difficult to do in this game, let's just be honest. But it doesn't take away from the playability of the game. It's actually very addictive and it is a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and it's one of those games because pretty much you have everything unlocked straight away. You don't really have to unlock anything as you play. You have access to all of the tracks, you have access to all of the cars, and it's just one of those games that has a lot of pick up and play appeal and value to it, that you can literally just jump in to play it for a few minutes casually and just pick your car of your choosing and just have at it and have a lot of fun, regardless of whether you win races or not. It just is a general solid game and a really good fun game to play. And again, with the variety of cars that are available, it's more than enough to keep you playing for a while. Even though it does have a very small limit of tracks, there's more than enough here, even with regards to the cars, to keep you playing for a while. So yes, it's not the best Battle Gear game, especially when you compare it to the third version, but it's still a really good solid racer all round, and I do recommend that you try it out. Yes, it is tough, it is challenging, it can be tricky, but when you put time into it and you get used to the characteristics the game has to offer, you will enjoy it for what it is. And if you really like arcade style racers, you'll love the arcade visuals and the style that the game has to offer, as it has a lot of very bright and vibrant colours that really suit the whole aesthetic. And generally the game is very good looking in all respects. It actually looks fantastic, so for that reason alone it is worthwhile checking out. And even again, just for the selection of cars, for me personally, the chance to get to play as all your favourite cars when you were growing up is definitely a bonus, so I do recommend you check it out. And I would love to know your thoughts on Battle Gear 2 for the PlayStation 2, if you have played it yourself back in the day, or did you even play it in the arcades if you were in Japan, or did you even play the Tokyo Road Race version of the game, because technically it's the same game anyway, maybe bar one or two changes. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this awesome game if you have played it, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content on the channel around other types of racing games similar to Battle Gear 2, then you can check out the playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action, and I will see you all in the next one.